Hey movie heads, welcome back to my channel. Today I will be doing a movie review on Spike Lee's The Five Bloods. And I had to write down tons of notes. Never have I ever had to write down so many notes while watching a movie. The Five Bloods follows a story about Black Vietnam veterans Paul, Otis, Eddie, and Melvin as they travel back to Vietnam to find the remains of their fallen squad commander, Norman, also known as Stormin' Norman, as well as buried gold. So, this film is a very special type of film to me because not only does it highlight what Black soldiers went through during their time of being put on the front lines of the Vietnam War, but it also gives voice and perspective from the Black experience of the Vietnam War, which is pretty rare. Sound bites and voices of Angela Davis and Kwame and Bobby Seale and footage of the Jackson State University event that happened with Jackson police marching alongside the Mississippi Highway Patrol and firing 400 rounds into a crowd of Black students was also introduced in the beginning of the film as well. Spike Lee shows footage of which is relevant to this time and interweaves itself into racism of which in its many forms exists today. Paul, played by the amazing Delroy Lindo, presents himself as a headstrong character at times. However, further on throughout the film, it becomes quite clear why he is the way that he is. You see the challenges of him being at the mercy of his squad leader's ghost, of which definitely gets in the way of his goal. And you see that anger and sadness and frustration, and I just love how Delroy Lindo is able to portray such an unstable man of whom was affected by the Vietnam War. Characters such as Otis that was played by Clark Peters, and you had Eddie played by Norm Lewis and Melvin played by Isaiah Whitlock Jr. And all of that basically added on to the complex layers of this film in so many positive ways. Shout out to the 50 to 60 crew because all of these actors rocked it. You had Otis, who, as his side objective, he was there to visit a woman of whom was his lover at the time of the Vietnam War. During that visit, he discovers an amazing secret, which adds on yet another complex layer to the story. I would have to say that Clark Peters' character was so strong because he's the one that kind of brings everybody back. And Clark Peters, he's been in a lot of stuff. He was in John Wick, and he was in Jessica Jones, as well as Red Hook Summer. Melvin was another favorite character of mine, and Melvin, by the way, is played by Isaiah Whitlock Jr., who's been in a lot of things, tons of things, such as Red Hook Summer, along with Clark Peters and Black Klansman. But he was basically the comedic relief in this film, and he was the life of the party. He was very carefree. Everybody has that friend. I don't care who you are, everybody has that friend. And then you had Eddie, played by Norm Lewis, who also starred in Just Mercy and She's Gotta Have It and Scandal. But he was the glue that held everyone together, and he was the one responsible for recording everyone as they're on their journey back in Vietnam. Some of the supporting characters were not relevant to the story. They were mostly, the subplots were explored through most of the dialogue in the film. These supporting characters were there to move the story along, but it sort of made it seem like it made the movie longer, them just being there moving the story along, if that makes any sense. And you'll see what I'm saying when you watch the movie, if you haven't already watched it. Characters such as Hanoi Hannah, I feel, was necessary because she was the radio personality that was able to kind of highlight things that were going on back in America. She was the one that announced Martin Luther King's death and the riots that were going on after that death occurred. So I can see why that was necessary within the film. However, characters such as Heidi Lamar and the two other guys that were with her, Seppo, she was basically the lady who was responsible for finding and detonating bombs. I don't think she was necessarily important to the story. So those were a few concerns that I had about the film. In conclusion, the film came out right on time. Spike Lee and Delroy Lindo need to be recognized for their tremendous work in this film. The grainy shots of which was 1967 worked in the flashback scenes. The fact that the aging technology was not needed in the flashback scenes worked because it was merely them romanticizing their time spent with their admirable and brave leader, Stormin' Norman, aka Chadwick Boseman. The relevant footage of the past with Muhammad Ali and Martin Luther King and events of which are happening today along with the Black Lives Matter movement tie into the film beautifully. Did I mention the music in this film? So I think it's safe to say that you don't need me to necessarily tell you to see the movie, because I think you know where I stand with this. For those of you who have seen the movie, comment down below and let me know what you guys think. And if you haven't seen the movie, hop on it. I will see you guys in the next review/reaction. Later.